Good morning. Please join with us as we sing our gathering hymn.
Good morning, everyone. Please be seated. Good morning and welcome, everyone, here to First Unitarian Church, where we strive together to build beloved community and together nurture the individual spirit. Welcome all gathered here and welcome those joining us on live stream this morning. It's so good to be back here among you today. After the service, join fellow congregants for social hour. To join virtually, you'll see a QR code after the service. And to join in person, you can go downstairs to Fuller Hall and right below this sanctuary. In Fuller Hall, you'll see our bookstore is open and the art wall is open. And check out our UU the Vote effort, which will be happening through this fall. It's one of many good ways to get involved. And it won't be long before we do begin a new church year, and with the fall will come more ways to get involved. That includes our music ministry. If you'd like to sing or ring in a choir this fall, email our director of music, Duro Ferrar, right away. Spots are filling up. Information about our 5 adult choirs and 3 bell choirs are on the church website, with information about programming for children and families coming soon. And also be on the lookout for information about our programs for children and youth. We'll be gearing up for a new year in just a couple weeks. And if you're looking to make connections with others to get to know more about this church, next Sunday after the service, I'll be offering an introduction to our church and to Unitarian Universalism. You can find details about that in this coming week's e-news to sign up. Finally this morning, this is Carter Smith's last Sunday with us, at least for a time. Carter has served as our summer minister and before that, our intern minister. Carter, it has been a blessing and a privilege to work with you this year. Thank you for all the gifts that you have shared with this congregation. Carter, we send you forth with our blessing and with our love. And now, let's take a moment to greet our neighbors. I invite you to pay attention and be mindful of the people you greet and how close they want to get. But let's greet our neighbors in person and online. Carter will light the chalice on our chancel this morning. If you're at home and have a chalice or a candle, I encourage you to light it now. We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
Words of Reverend Angel Kyoto Williams. The work, over time, with all due respect to Gandhi, is not to be the change we wish to see in the world, but to let ourselves be truly transformed, and then, by our presence and example, to become the catalyst for transformation of others, and through them, eventually, the transformation of the world. Come now into this space of transformation, letting down our walls so that we may become something new. Come now and let us worship together, and please join in singing, "Come my way, my truth, my life." Please join in our responsive reading, adapted from All That You Touch by Reverend Teresa Soto. An important question is this: how does being a co-creator of change affect the way you live your life each day? We don't come to this community and this congregation to wander off with happy quotes and sunshine feelings. We are here to prepare our hearts to be better humans. We are here to prepare our actions to be the edge of creation. We are here to prepare our wills for the long haul. Every moment counts. The moments when you care for yourself and your family and your community are resistance. They make you available to the greater purpose of your life. The people that you love and the people that love you pull you forward into a new future. We are the antidote to isolation. We are the tonic for depleted human hearts and weakened wills. And when your heart is depleted and your will is weakened, come here. We are the ones who are waiting for you. When we move together, we know that our possibility for the future is greater. We hold out for this possibility. We hold on for each other. And please join in singing our doxology, Spirit of Life.
This morning, I'd like to share an illustrated poem with you called Is, Was. The poem and pictures are by Deborah Friedman. While I share the poem, sometimes you may notice pauses with no words as the pictures tell a story. The sky is the same sky that was blue, but now is spilling down. The rain is, was, was. The same rain that was drips is now for sips, and song is, was. Where singing was, a buzz is, was. Sunshine is, was. A shadow is. Quiet is. But listen, the earth's heart beats. Was. Blue is. Blue was. Still, this sky is the same sky that was.
It's our custom in this congregation to share our offerings with organizations that are in concert with our own church mission. This week, we share our plate with the Association of UU Music Ministries. AUUMM supports music and worship arts professionals, leaders, and those who serve through advocacy, education, and inspiration, as well as the resources to provide new insights to their work. Our gifts through today's collection will support the scholarship fund of AUUMM for Black, Brown, and Indigenous UU musicians to attend the annual conference. If you'd like to give to our offering today, in your online, you can look for the QR code or the Donate Now button on Boxcast. If you're here in person, you can find a yellow card and that will get you to that QR code. And if you'd like to donate in cash or check, you can find an usher at the end of the service. Thank you for your generosity that sustains the ministry of this congregation and of our partners in the world. We'll now gratefully receive our offering. We make space in our service each week to name the concerns of our community life together. We are a caring community, and pastoral support happens in a number of ways in our congregation, through our ministers and through a dedicated team of lay ministers. Our lay ministers offer one-on-one support as well as facilitating small groups where congregants can come together and support each other. Our lay ministers also hold intentions in prayer each week. You can write down an intention in one of our side galleries, and those will be held by our lay ministers through the week. And online, you can send an intention to prayer at firstunitarianportland.org. We have no individual concerns to share today, but when we gather each week, we know that we bring so many intentions from our lives, and we make a space to hold those now. And in that spirit, will you join me in prayer? Spirit of life and of love, God of many names and of no name at all, hear our prayers this day. We begin in gratitude, Spirit, for this day, for our lives, for the lives of those around us, for this community, for this good green earth that supports each of us and all of us, that holds us in the midst of beginnings and of endings, that holds us in our search for meaning, our search for wholeness, that holds us even in the midst of so much that we are asked to hold in these times. In a world that would all too often have us feeling isolated and alone, call us to live out of that place of relatedness, that place of connection, that place of hope and of possibility. Even when we would despair, especially when we would despair, help us to be open. Help us to notice. Help us to listen. In our living, in our being, help us to imagine a world where peace is possible, where justice can be made real. And remind us of that love that is always present, that love that will never let us go. Amen. Let's keep silence now for a time together. Let's remain seated as we sing together, "Yes, Love is Real." Our reading today includes excerpts from Merlin Sheldrake, from Entangled Life, and from an interview in The Sun magazine. We have realized that all life forms depend on microbes. Animals have trillions of microbes living in and on them, without which they could not grow and live. Fungi have bacteria and viruses living inside them, too. Even large bacteria have small bacteria living inside them, and bacteria can have viruses living inside them, and larger viruses can have smaller viruses living inside them. As biologist Lynn Margulis writes, all life is the story of the long-lasting intimacy of strangers. As we find out more about the enormous role microbes play in evolution, we're starting to re-examine some of the categories we took for granted in the past. Biology, the study of living organisms, is transforming into ecology, which is the study of the relationships among organisms, because each organism is itself a kind of ecology. We're starting to see life as a series of nested relationships. For humans, identifying where one individual stops and another starts is not generally something we think about. It's usually taken for granted, within modern industrial societies at least, that we start where our bodies begin and stop where our bodies end. But developments in modern medicine, such as organ transplants, worry these distinctions. Developments in the microbial sciences shake them at their foundation. We are ecosystems composed of and decomposed by an ecology of microbes, the significance of which is only now coming to light. The 40-odd trillion microbes that live in and on our bodies allow us to digest food and produce key minerals that nourish us. Like the fungi that live within plants, they protect us from disease. They guide the development of our bodies and immune systems and influence our behavior. If not kept in check, they can cause illness and even kill us. We are not a special case. Even bacteria have viruses within them, a nanobiome. Even viruses contain smaller viruses, a picobiome. Symbiosis is the ubiquitous feature of life. Our microbial relationships are about as intimate as they can be. Learning more about these associations changes our experience of our bodies and the places we inhabit. We are ecosystems that span boundaries and transgress categories. Ourselves emerge from a complex tangle of relationships, only now becoming known.
It is so good to be with you all today. I cannot tell you how fond I've become of seeing your faces out here on Sunday morning, as well as feeling the warmth and love from those of you watching from afar. As Reverend Tom mentioned at the beginning of our service, this is my last Sunday with you all. I want to start by expressing my deep gratitude for how you have all welcomed me so warmly over the past year, both as intern minister and these past couple of months as summer minister. I hope you know how honored and humbled I am to have gotten to know you and become part of this community. This church really is a whole community of communities and is full of so many beloved individuals. And I appreciate the kindness you've shown me and the trust in my ministry. Most interns only stay for the church year, so I feel really lucky to have had this extra time. And I do have exciting plans going forward, many of you have been asking. Tomorrow I begin a chaplaincy internship at Legacy Emmanuel Hospital, where I will be offering spiritual care to patients, families, and staff, and learning alongside a cohort of other interns. So this is one of the last stages of my journey of becoming a minister, and I'm grateful for the role you have played and for bringing me to Portland, where I'm glad I'll get to stay a little bit longer. This is a change, like many, that does feel right, and it is not without a feeling of loss. I am leaving my position here, and I will have to take considerable distance from this community in order to make space for your next intern. So this is a goodbye. But I have seen that this congregation is familiar with change, and I see that you are ready for this and all the other changes stirring in this place. For one, life under a global pandemic has taught us all not to hold on too tightly to plans and expectations. We know that circumstances can shift rapidly, and the next right move may be very different from what we were hoping for. As individuals and as a church community, you have had extensive practice in this kind of change, not to mention the change of our ministerial transition, how we worship together, how we gather. We are getting very familiar with change. And you have all had all of the ways that your individual lives have unfolded in these years. Milestones, losses, adjusting to a new sense of reality, new practices, like wearing masks and social distancing, opening up to growth, to learning and encountering the world differently than you were previously used to. I think we know that change is not just a necessary part of life to trudge through. It is part of being human. We must learn to not only accept change, but to find ease in it. There are many spiritual traditions around the world that help us on this journey. So I'm scheduled to talk about our 7th principle today. The principle states, "We covenant to affirm and promote the interdependent web of life of which we are a part." And what does this principle have to do with accepting change? It doesn't seem apparent right away. But in recent months, I have come to understand that when we talk about relationship, we are talking about change. Because when we are in relationship with one another, especially if we are interdependent on one another, we are allowing ourselves to be shaped and changed by that relationship. To be in relationship is to open ourselves to the thoughts and stories of another, to allow our bodies to learn what it is like to share space with someone, to create memories with them, to acknowledge that there is wisdom that they offer that we have not encountered before. If you remember my jar of truth metaphor from about a month ago, this is what I'm talking about. To enter into relationship is to agree to be changed, even in subtle ways, by another. It is a crucial part of the spiritual journey that I hope we can start paying more attention to. Not only is change a steady undercurrent of life, but relationship is too. Our reading was about this morning, using the field of ecology to assume that organisms cannot be understood without looking at other organisms that they are in relationship with. The passage from Merlin Sheldrake's book, Entangled Life, inspired the title of this sermon. This book serves as a grand overview of the wonderful world of fungi and all the things that those who study them, mycologists, are learning from them. This sermon is not about fungi in particular, but the book is wonderful and I highly recommend it. But in this passage in particular, Sheldrake is talking about the way that fungi teach us about the interdependent web. Fundamentally, at the cellular level, we humans and all beings contain multitudes. We exist because of the symbiotic relationships that our bodies form with the microbes inside us. He says, we are ecosystems that span boundaries and transgress categories. Ourselves emerge from a complex tangle of relationships, only now becoming known. Ecology and related fields are teaching us that we are not just living in the context of relationships, but we ourselves are those tangles of relationships. And I can't help but feel a sense of awe when I think of this. And how beautiful. There are always opportunities for continuing to shape one another and be shaped by our relationships. Though it may feel unstable, because nothing stays the same for very long, we may as well lean into the creative potential that change brings. There is the famous Octavia Butler quote from her Earthseed series. All that you touch, you change. All that you change, changes you. The only lasting truth is change. God is change. So it is best to get in right relationship with change, with beginnings and endings, with letting ourselves be shaped by those we live alongside. And fundamentally, this, I think, is what church is about. And it has been a pleasure thinking about this and learning about this with this church. A few times this past year, I offered celebrations of pagan festivals, a Wheel of the Year event series, and I first envisioned these events as an outlet of expression and exploration for those of us who lean earth-based in our spirituality, to get in touch with and celebrate the more than human world in an intentional and communal way. And it was this outlet, and over time, I started to understand a deeper pattern in each of these holidays. These festivals are about marking the transition away from one season and preparing to the next. Samhain, All Hallows Eve, is about truly entering a time of darkness, saying goodbye to the summer, a thinning of the veil between this world and the beyond. The winter solstice, Yule, is about resting in the depths of that darkness and finding richness there, but also celebrating the beginning of the return of the light. Imbolc, in early February, is a late winter celebration that seeks to cleanse stagnant energy and prepare for the very earliest signs of spring that are already on their way. So all of these holidays follow this same pattern of celebrating the moment that we find ourselves in now while preparing for what is to come. As the earth turns, there is something to learn from each present moment, while we can acknowledge that we are passing through thresholds constantly. Change is always on the horizon, and it's not something to be resisted by holding on too tightly to any singular moment, but to be honored through rituals to ready ourselves for each new chapter. So when I think about the interdependent web, I think about relationship. And when I think about relationship, I think about change. I think about all the potential that we unlock when we come together and co-create one another. If you've heard me preach before, this may sound familiar. It's an idea that has resonated with me so much over this past year, and I have gotten to explore with you all. it has become clear to me that any time we get to be in community, but especially when we come to church, we are awakening so much potential for change and growth. When we face an uncertain future, and the future is forever uncertain, we can at least be sustained and prepare ourselves for uncertainty by choosing each other. By choosing one another, we can tell our stories, encourage each other's growth, comfort each other in times of hardship, and know the fuller picture of the world by appreciating the unique gifts that each of us brings. And we can stir each other up into hope. This principle, the interdependent web, tells us about a fact of life. We do not need to do anything to make it true. We are interdependent whether we like it or not. This principle is simply here as a reminder, one that can hopefully inspire us to be present to the richness of our relationships, the creative potential held within them. It reminds us why it is that we are here together. Again, let me state that it has been an honor to serve this congregation, and one of the most fulfilling pieces of this work has been hearing how it has shaped you, even in small ways. The way a story has stuck with you and helped you shift your understanding of a challenge in your life, the way you've been inspired to take action on a problem you see in the world, the way you felt joy or comfort in the spaces we have created together. I cannot tell you how humbling it is, and I want you to know that I have learned and grown just as much, if not more, than you. I will carry so many precious memories away with me. I think especially of my time with the UUA organizing school participants, lay ministers, the social justice leadership team, my Wellspring cohort, anti-racist learning circles, my internship committee, and the reproductive dignity cohort. It's been in these small groups that I have felt a real richness from this congregation. But what it boils down to is that so many of you have shared your lives with me, and I am grateful. I see in you an innate curiosity paired with fierce drive and steady wisdom. This is a community committed to journeying together. Thank you for letting me be a part of this journey. Our paths diverge here, and it is bittersweet, but I am comforted to know that these journeys will continue in their own way and time. I want to close with a prayer that I wrote early in my time here. I share it again in gratitude. Will you pray with me now? Spirit of life, Spirit of love, forever moving amongst and within us, we call out your names. We seek to know grace so that we might honor our interconnectedness this morning with each other and with those who have gone before us. When we witness suffering in ourselves and in the world around us, may we know compassion. When we are at a loss for words, when we're unsure of the path ahead, may we be guided by this compassion to be witnesses still. To know and feel the truth that this human family feels broken and is breaking with every life lost and each time someone's dignity is denied. When we find ourselves exhausted and defeated and unsure of where to go, may we keep witnessing, turning ever further toward your still small voice. And Spirit of life, remind us too that the experience of suffering does not close us off from the possibility of joy. Remind us that feeling broken does not close us off from our inherent wholeness. And may we know that our interconnectedness is a miracle. May it be a refuge from us, felt in the voice of a friend, in the touch of a loved one, in the memories of days spent in good company. May we remain grateful for the goodness we have witnessed and enacted in the world, and may the warmth of our lives together hold us in love as we move into a future that is as uncertain as ever. We ask, dear God, to know your presence, that it may remind us of what is sacred in each precious moment. And may you teach us that sacred presence too, that we might know ourselves here and now, that we may be present for this one wild and precious life. May it be so. Amen. Please join in singing our closing hymn, Go Lift It Up. Friends, we have come to the end of our time together. May you go forth from this place deeply aware of your interdependence, more at ease in the shifting tides of life. May you know love, and may you be well. This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.